In this video, we are going to continue on and take a look at the width property that has to do with fixed width, flexible width, and also max width and min width. So different kinds of width properties. All right, so let's get started here. So far we have used fixed width in our previous class exercise or activity. We used a fixed width where we told the width to be 800 pixels, right? In the previous PowerPoint, we learned about the box model where we have 800 pixels and then around it we have the padding, the border, and the margin. Okay, but all in all, the width is 800 pixels, which is a set width, a fixed width, okay? The width property sets the width of the element, right? So remember that the width of the element, it does not, okay, include padding, borders, or margins. So when the width is set as 800 pixels, it doesn't include the padding. So if you have 10 pixels on the left and 10 pixels on the right padding, then the total is actually 800 plus the 10 and the 10, so 820. Okay, then you also have the borders and you also have the margin. So you have to consider that in your space. So the next thing we're going to look at is flexible width. We could also set the width in terms of a percentage. Okay, so you can see here I forgot my semicolon, which is wrong and bad, so don't do that. So let's go into our box.html and set the width as 70% and see what happens. We can also set the width of the paragraph, the p tag, as 50%, and let's see what happens. All right, so I'm just going to exit out of here and go into Atom. All right, so I'm just going to kind of play around with my margins here. I'm just going to make them a little bit more normal. So let's go padding 30 pixels, margin 20 pixels, and we'll leave the borders the same. And I'm going to change the width to 70 pixels. 70, sorry, not 70 pixels, 70%. Okay, 70%, and you must have the semicolon, right? So let's go to File, Save All, just in case, and I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go to Atom here and go to box.html and go Packages and View in Browser. There we go. So you're thinking, okay, it doesn't look that different. So the difference is when I change the size of the browser, the section will only be 70% of whatever it is in. And what is it in? Let's go look at section. Section is in body. So section will always be only 70% of body. Okay, section is in body, so it'll be 70% of body, because you're wondering 70% of what? 70% of body. And then the body, the size of the body changes when I adjust the browser size, right? The browser window size. There you go. We can also set the width of the paragraph, the p tag, inside of the section. Let's go do that. So P is inside of section, right? Section is 70% of body. We can make p tag containing all the content only 50%. So 50% of what? 50% of section, because the p tag is in section. Okay, now let's go take a look in style. So I'm going to say p width is 50%. Okay, I'm going to save all, File, Save All, go back here and look again. So look, the size of the section is still, you know, the same as before, 70% of body, 70% of body, and the paragraph of text in it is only 50% of section. Does that make sense? All right, so let's go back to the PowerPoint and take a look at another value. So we can have a fixed value, we can have a percentage value, which makes it a flexible width, okay? We can also have a different kind of value all in all, which is inherit. Okay, it would look like that. You can say width inherit. The inherit keyword, okay, the inherit value is a keyword because it's a word. It specifies that a property should inherit its value from its parent element. So who's the parent of the p tag? The parent is whoever it's in, which is section. So the p tag's parent is section. The section's parent is body. Okay, that whatever it's immediately inside of. So the inherit keyword can be used for any CSS property and on any HTML element. So I'm using it here, but the inherit can really be used for any property like font color, font size, font style. Inherit just means the same as the parent. Okay, so it's inheriting something from the parent. So if section is width is 70%, semicolon here, then the P, if I say the width inherit, then what would it be? The width would then also be 70% because it's the same as the parent. So let's go try that. Go. So instead of 50%, I'm going to go inherit. So now it's going to be bigger than 50%. It is now going to be 70%, right? So I'm going to go File, Save All. Let's go back to browser here. There we go. Now it's not 50%, it's 70%. It's 70. The paragraph of text is now 70% of section, which is the pink box here, and section is 70% of body. Okay. Now, there's also something called max width. The max width property defines the maximum width of an element. So if the content is larger than the maximum width, it will automatically change the height of the element. If the content is smaller than the width, then the max width property has no effect. So this prevents the value of the width from becoming larger than the max width. Now min width is the opposite. But before we go look at min width, let's go practice max width first, okay? So I'm just going to take out the P right now because I don't want it to be confusing. Okay, so let's say max width. Let's say max width is 70% for section. So section, let's say max width is, instead of doing a flexible, let's say max width is 800 pixels. It cannot be larger than 800 pixels. Okay, so let's say width is 70%, but max width is 800 pixels. So it's 70% of body until it gets to 800 pixels, then it cannot be bigger than 800 pixels. Okay, so that's, I know it might take a while to kind of wrap our heads around this. Let's go look at an example. Okay, so I'm going to refresh. All right. So section is going to be 70% of the browser window, right, of body. So as body gets bigger, it stays 70%, 70%, 70%. But yet when it gets bigger and bigger past 800 pixels, it doesn't become 70% anymore. It stays there. Okay, it stays there. It doesn't expand more than that because I've set the max width to be 800 pixels. You cannot be more than 800 pixels. You're going to be 70% of body of the browser window, but you're not going to be more than 800 pixels. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Experiment with it. Try it. Try different values, then maybe it will make sense to you. So I want you to, after you finish watching this video, try some different values and see if that makes sense to you. Next video, we'll look at min width.